All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I am your host today, Bailey Jackson, BJack 1973 on Twitter. And James is not with us tonight, and please pray for the Dillard family right now. I'm going to let James share the information that he has in our next episode, but just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And we've got a great show, or I've got a great show, and even though James is not here, I'm gonna try to do the best I can, James, just for you, buddy. Um, we're gonna still celebrate a whole year's worth of bragging rights. We're gonna talk about the new polls that are out now. I'm going to talk quickly about the championship games from yesterday, and then I'm going to share a few thoughts on the college football playoffs. Clemson, as you probably know by now, is headed to Jacksonville for the Gator Bowl. I have spent the last 2 weeks looking for plane tickets to San Diego, and now I don't need that. So I'm not disappointed that it is on the East Coast and I can get there in a vehicle. So let's get started. But don't forget, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and on all forms of social media. And the Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans. And we could not do this without help from Rubens Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, the best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at rubensc.com. Rubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans. Now, this show is probably going to be a little bit shorter than normal, and that's okay. But we do appreciate you tuning in again here on Sunday at 7 p.m. And real quick, let's talk about the playoff games from yesterday. First of all, I thought Georgia and Alabama was a pretty good game, pretty high level football. Both teams very good. But then the other two later in the day, Michigan and Iowa, and then Florida State and Louisville. Florida State did what they had to do to win, and Michigan played a team that doesn't score. And it's hard to win when you don't score, especially against the defensive caliber of Michigan's. So both of those were on at the same time, and I certainly fell asleep before they were over. With that said, we now have the latest and last poll that's out. The Tigers come in at number 22, but more importantly, we have the 4 teams that are in the playoffs. Michigan and Alabama will play in the Rose Bowl, so that's the 1-4 matchup. And then Washington and Texas will be in the Sugar Bowl. That's the 2-3 matchup. What sticks out most to me about the matchups is that Michigan and Alabama play in the Rose Bowl, which is in California, and Washington and Texas play in the Sugar Bowl, which is in New Orleans. And Washington could have really benefited by playing on the West Coast. And now Texas, Austin, Texas, I'm not 100% sure how far it is from New Orleans, but it's a heck of a lot closer than the campus at the University of Washington. So good luck to all the teams in the playoffs. Now, everybody on television all day has been talking about this. Florida State was left out, and James called it a few weeks ago. Florida State becomes the first. Excuse me, this is a solo show. Becomes the first Power 5 undefeated conference champion to not be selected for the playoffs. I have one word for that. It's unbelievable that this happened. They did everything they were supposed to do, and they still didn't get in. They played their third string quarterback, and they still won, and they didn't get in. Georgia, who is number 1 and has lost one game in the last 30, is now out and slips all the way to 6th place. Now, it's a tough job. I would not want to be on the committee, and if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell anybody. So good luck to the teams in the playoffs. I feel terrible for even though Florida State, I'm not a Florida State fan, not a Georgia fan. But as a former coach, I can tell you that would be a tough locker room to be in. especially after thinking you had a really good chance of being in there. So at this point, I'm going to need probably a little energy just to use something that James says, and we're going to play our little commercial for Dubby energy drinks, all natural. Go to dubby.gg, and there's a discount for 10% off by entering the promo FunFans. So do that. There's a link on your screen right now. Check that out, and we certainly appreciate the support Dubby gives the Fun Fans podcast each and every week. Now, let's throw a little shout out to Liberty. All right, Liberty's the highest ranked group of 5 team, and will now get to play. They get to play Oregon on New Year's Day. All right, so that's a pretty big deal for Liberty. But Flames, good luck against the Ducks. The Ducks are about 4 plays from being undefeated, and your strength of schedule, Liberty, was 133 out of 133 teams. So, good luck. But congratulations on being there. And actually, SMU, which is a future ACC member, will be disappointed to know they finished 1 spot away from being the highest ranked group of 5 team. I think Liberty was 23 and SMU was 24. Now, the ACC has 4 teams in the final college football playoff rankings, and those teams, all the teams that are bowl eligible will get to go to bowls. There's only 5 of them that have been released at this point. But I could update as we go. But like I said, one-man show here tonight, so I'm going to give you what I had when I prepared for this. In the rankings, Florida State finished 5th, Louisville 15th, North Carolina State 18th, and Clemson 22nd. Notre Dame, which is sort of a member of the ACC, is also in there like 13th or 18th. So well represented in the final. But FSU obviously plays Georgia in the Orange Bowl on the 30th of December. It'll be interesting to me to see who's motivated to play in that game, who actually plays in it, and, just kind of what the feel of that game is, because it could be either a great game or one of those games that, you wonder why you're watching it, because guys aren't that into it because they're so disappointed still. Then you have Central Florida and Duke in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparillo Bowl, which I think is in Orlando, Florida, on December 22nd. You have Louisville and Southern Cal in the Holiday Bowl. So, because Florida State was left out of the playoffs, the bowl selection process got bumped downhill, and Louisville ends up going to the Holiday Bowl to play Southern California on December 27th in San Diego. NC State plays Kansas State in the always delicious Pop-Tarts Bowl on 12/28, and I think that is in either in Tampa or Orlando, one of the two. And then obviously Clemson plays Kentucky in the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville at noon on December 29th. Clemson is making its 10th Gator Bowl appearance. And 14th time the Tigers have played the Wildcats from Kentucky. It's interesting. The last 2 matchups between the 2 teams happened in the Music City Bowl in 2006, a Kentucky win, and in 2009, a Clemson win. I remember where I was in 2006 when Kentucky beat Clemson. I do not remember where I was in 2009 when Clemson beat Kentucky. Now, if we look at the Gator Bowl specifically, Clemson has a lot of history in the Gator Bowl. And actually, if you look online, Clemson is one of the 2 teams, Missouri being the other, that's kind of credited with saving the Gator Bowl. The Gator Bowl is the 6th oldest bowl game in America. And in 1948, 32,000 people showed up to watch Clemson beat Missouri on a last-second field goal, 24-23. That attendance of 32,000 people was actually double the previous year of 16,000 and some change. And they were able to continue having the bowl game in Jacksonville as a result of You didn't know that Jacksonville has not hosted every Gator Bowl. It was in Gainesville in 1994 because Jacksonville Stadium was being torn down and rebuilt. This year's game is at, I cannot remember the corporate sponsor, but it's where the Jags play. And it's where our guy Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne play every Sunday when they play at home. So I look forward to seeing everybody down in Jacksonville. In 1978, Woody Hayes, Clemson's nose tackle, Charlie Ballman, intercepted an Ohio State pass to seal the victory. And as he was being tackled, or as he ran out of bounds, Woody Hayes jumped up and kind of throat punched him or shoved him in the throat with his forearm. And actually, Woody Hayes, legendary Ohio State coach, was fired before the team left Jacksonville the next day. So Clemson is very important and has been a very active member in these Gator Bowls. And I'm going to go real quick. 2009 lost to Nebraska. 2001 lost to Virginia Tech. 1996 lost to Syracuse. 89 beat West Virginia, which I think was Major Harris, the quarterback for West Virginia. 1986 beat Stanford. 78 beat Ohio State. 77 lost to Pittsburgh. 52 lost to Miami, and 48 beat Missouri. That's a 4-5 record in their 9 Gator Bowl appearances. On another note, I think one of the Kentucky matchups was about the 1994 Peach Bowl, where actually I think it was Tommy West was there at that time, and I think maybe he was in attendance because he had taken over at that point. I'd have to check the record on that. But anyway, good luck to the Tigers, and I'm sure we'll have more to come about the Gator Bowl. Now, in other news from Clemson University, it's been a great week. The ladies soccer team unfortunately lost to, as the soccer people say, 0 to Florida State on Friday, and that ended their season, but they were a Final Four participant. And then the men's soccer team defeated Stanford and advanced to the Final Four this Friday, December 8th versus West Virginia. The games are in Louisville, Kentucky, and a berth in the national championship game will be on the line. And, the Clemson men's soccer coach said, Clemson is the soccer school in America. So anyway, best of luck to the lads as they take the pitch for the Final Four in men's soccer. And a great season by the ladies soccer team. The Clemson men's basketball team is now 7-0. 2 huge road wins this week. First at Alabama, where the Crimson Tide were ranked in the top 22 or 3 in the country, and they are loaded. They led the nation in scoring, and Clemson executed, defended, and just pretty much pulled away at the end like good teams do. And here's what you need to understand. It's only the second time Clemson has won a non-conference road game against a ranked opponent ever. So it was a big win. Today, they go on the road first ACC game to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh very tough, especially at home. It actually worked out to Clemson's advantage to playing on a Sunday in December at Pittsburgh because the place they play is called the Zoo. And they pulled away at the end to beat Pittsburgh. So now they're 7-0 and 1-0 in conference play. They have a couple big games coming up. Wednesday, South Carolina is also undefeated. And when they roll into Little John, and I will be in attendance for that one. And then we have games next Saturday against TCU, always tough. Jamie Dixon coaches the Horned Frogs, and they're always really good. And then we actually travel to Memphis on 12/16, which is one of those road games that the committee will look at in March when it's time to be selected for the NCAA tournament. So best of luck to the Tigers. Now, don't know what we're going to do Wednesday. Don't know if we'll have a show. And I know this one's a little bit shorter than normal, but if we're not back Wednesday, we'll definitely be back next Sunday in our normal 7 p.m. time slot. I would like to say, don't forget, if you need stocking stuffers, Diamond Edge Products is a great place to get it. You can get tumblers, water bottles, koozies, license plates, yard signs, anything you want engraved. Check out Diamond Edge Products at diamondedgeproducts.com, or you can always email Jaylin, Jaylin, at diamondedgeproducts.com. And because they are now officially licensed and a partner with Clemson University, so get your stuff, put them in those stockings. It's the season for giving. Now, hope everybody enjoyed the show today, even though it was just me talking. And we're going to enjoy the Gamecock win all year. Like I said, I'm going to enjoy it all year. So, again, I'm enjoying that. Looking forward to a great Gator Bowl against Kentucky that just beat Louisville a week ago, and then lost to the Gamecocks earlier in Williams-Brice. And don't forget to join us every Sunday for all this fun on the Fun Fans Podcast. You can subscribe to the Fun Fans Podcast on our YouTube channel or on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to share and like and do all those things. And all our archive shows can be found at the Fanboys site, which it says on here I'm supposed to show that link now. Working on that. There we go. How about that? TheFanboys.com. And on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thrilla Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson, thanks everybody for listening. Go Tigers.